Miss Stephanie Laynes, I'm trying to wrap up this head of hair of hers. We are going to start shaping these brows.
Very excited. Long time coming.
Yes.
I've been talking to you about this, what, 2-3 years?
For a long time. So Miss Stephanie wanted microblading done.
I did.
Which I had to explain to her that microblading is not good for all skin types and skin tones, because the darker the skin, the less contrast there is between her skin tone and the microblading pigment. So for that purpose, we are powdering her today. And I usually find my sisters like powdering much better because there is just more definition. And it alleviates, having to fill in their eyebrows every day. So we are going to shape her up and map her out and get her brows all pretty and powdered. And of course, I'm using Miss Stephanie's Latte. These brows are so beautiful. They're so fun to do. Normally I'd tint her, but I can't tint while we are tattooing.
Little naked brows.
So I talk a lot about brows and how, a majority of mistakes happen when we do too much to the eyebrows. Stephanie has such a beautiful foundation here that I'm going to obviously keep them as full as possible and just lightly clean up her natural shape. Now her natural shape is quite straight actually. You can even see just right here in this hair pattern how it just goes in a straight direct line, but we're going to give her a little bit more arch and a little bit more kind of intensity in that body just by picking it up a little bit right in here. She has fullness, so we can do that. Normally straight brows, it's very difficult to arch, but because she has, just a great foundation to work with, we can arch them up a little bit.
I have my stalkers on there.
I always say keep your applicators parallel to the brow. Just helps give you guidance. Getting those nice, crisp, clean, straight lines. Kind of mold that wax upwards. Beautiful, look at that. That's why I love latte. I don't have to tweeze a thing under that. Look how nice and clean it is. And here, and again, you can even see me adjusting the angle of my arm because I want to keep my applicator parallel to the shape of her brow. And good wax will shape them up for you, get those nice straight lines, so it alleviates a lot of the excess tweezing. So in here, I'm kind of just pushing and molding that wax into the brow and getting the line and the shape that I want. Perfect. Gorgeous. And I'll still come back and I want to arch it a little bit more, so I'll come back and just tweeze a couple of those hairs, but not much at all. So, and always work in a straight line from left to right, never work up and down. So we're going to start here. And you can see almost where that line is created, and then you got a couple hairs coming down. So we're going to, keep that consistency and just remove a few of those hairs.
Are you using did you use your arch scissors in the beginning?
Of course.
Why didn't you say?
Oh, you know me.
Well, if you guys don't know, this is Diana from the Arch Addicts.
That is me. I've been doing Stephanie's brows for a long time. I don't know how she found me, but once she did,
found you.
She never left me alone. But I love doing her brows as much as she loves me doing them, so it's always an honor.
I know, I got up early this morning.
So early.
3:30.
Oh my goodness.
for a 6 a.m. flight. It was delayed an hour and 40 minutes.
It was?
And we sat on the plane.
Oh, no.
An hour and 40 minutes.
That's the worst.
But then I forgot it's Good Friday.
Oh.
I forgot.
So in the center here, normally I work from behind, but because I have my, station set up right there for the powdering, I'm just going to eye it a little bit. I always like to apply and then mold over. You just have more control, Don't ever jump in and start waxing or like applying wax directly to, the brow or the hair. Always give yourself a little room and then come back and mold.
And you've been doing brows?
For specializing for about 13 years. So yeah, I started at a small salon and spa here in Orland, and they specialized in brows, and I worked there for about 3.5, 4 years, and then they closed suddenly in 2009, and I opened the Browtique with my partner Stephanie, and we've been going full force ever since then. It's been incredible. We've been able to see this industry boom, a lot of us that have been in the industry more than 10 years, we've seen it grow from being like a luxury service to, an everyday, thing for every demographic and every woman out there, which is just wonderful. I love seeing how busy everyone is and successful, and it's just incredible, First few years, everyone was struggling.
Oh, we all struggle.
And the struggle still occurs from time to time, but now there's a much larger demand for what we're doing.
And then you got into the permanent makeup side how long ago?
3 years ago. So, I was definitely one of those brow artists that said, don't tattoo your brows, don't do it.
Oh, you did?
Oh, for a long time, until I started coming across microblading. And I saw these techniques out there, and I, started researching and finding out, how it faded, and,
right.
there was some just leniency with it in comparison to the old school method of the
right.
solid, permanent, dark. I mean, and don't let anyone tell you it's not permanent. It is. And that is because even though it may fade, and it may not be 100% visible, that doesn't mean that there aren't particles of pigment in the skin. So for that reason, it is considered permanent in the U.S. So you cannot use the term semi-permanent at all.
I didn't know that.
Yes. A lot of people advertise it. I
Yep.
think that way just, as a form of advertisement or marketing, or to appease to people more so, but technically in the U.S. we do not recognize that term. I think in Europe they're allowed to, but
really,
but not here in the States.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. You see it, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been the biggest confusion with a lot of people regarding going to microblading. I've been having a lot of conversations with them saying it's not under your aesthetics license. So.
No, not at all. It's a completely different animal, and it's a completely different industry, really. And now permanent makeup is really starting to connect more with the tattoo industry as well.
Right.
So, really people are starting to learn that they are kind of one and the same. Really, we're just doing modern techniques of, old tattooing methods. Microblading is done with a hand tool, just like some of the most ancient methods of tattooing, but instead of pushing pigment into the skin, it's stroking pigment into the skin in the shape of hair strokes.
Wow.
And then powdering, what I use, a lot of the machine and the tools that I use, a lot of traditional tattoo artists use. I'm just using a different technique and a different application. Instead of packing the color into the skin, we're just going to lightly speckle it in, so it doesn't have that harsh, abrasive finish, like the old school form of, tattooing does. So, I'll have to pack in a little bit more pigment in Stephanie's skin, just because, she has a darker skin tone, and she uses a lot of topical skincare, AHAs, and so yeah, today they will look pretty dark and pretty strong, but once they heal, they'll soften up beautifully and really define the overall shape of her brows. So yeah, it's exciting. But yeah, once I started discovering, and learning more about microblading, I immediately knew I wanted to offer the service. So I started training, and then powdering, started becoming more popular within the industry. The rest of the world is still catching on with powdering, but powdering is just a lot more versatile than microblading. A lot of people can't get microblading. There's a lot of contraindications with it, skin conditions, medications, things like that. Oh, yes. So a lot of people can't get microblading. Unfortunately, not everybody will filter their clients
got it. Okay.
But powdering is much more flexible. People are just initially scared of it because, again, they have it confused with, just those old school solid block eyebrows. But powdering really is beautiful. Even my eyebrows are powdered and nobody would ever know. So it can be as soft as you want or as dark and as bold as you want. So, all right. Dang, look at those brows. Oh, that looks so good. So I'm going to double check her brows sitting up. We're going to get ready to start mapping, and we'll have to cut off this little video here. So we will see you guys later when we're all done, but you get an idea of the before, and then you'll see her when she's all powdered. Yay. Thank you.